Welcome and good morning. Anyone nursing a hangover from last night? Yes, okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. So I have had the opportunity and the honor to speak all over the world, but I have never gotten to address a room this specific, a meeting for meeting planners in the drug biz. And I was like, drug biz, yeah, I'm in, whatever it is. So then when I did a little bit of deeper dive and realized, okay, yeah, it's the drug biz, but actually the people biz. So I was talking to my mentor last night, and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing, and these meeting planners, she goes, don't prepare. Don't prepare? Last night, I'm like, what? All I've done is prepare. What do you mean, don't prepare? She said, just talk. That's the way it goes. Listen, she's not out here talking to all you guys, so I'm taking it with a grain of salt. But then I thought about it, and that she is absolutely right. I have written zillions of questions on my show, Talk Stoop. Not once did I answer, or did I ask, rather, any of them. Because once you get face-to-face with someone, a celebrity, your hairstylist, whoever, it's really about what's happening right then. All important conversations in my life seem to circle around the same three things: where we're at, what we share in common, and how we can help each other out. What? Nope. Where, what, how. When I first met my husband, such dorks we were, just out of journalism school, and he was going to address some journalism classes, and he goes, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell them who, what, where, why, when, and wow. I'm like, you're dorky, I'm not going out with you again. But anyway, 15 years later, we're still together, and I love that about him. He wants to throw in the wow. And the wow is actually really important because you can't make up the wow ahead of time. You can't craft circumstances to work in your way that you're gonna be able to say the really funny thing at the exact right time. But keeping your ears open for what that wow is pretty important. So, today, I wanna talk about, first, the what. I'm gonna switch it up on myself. First, we're gonna start with the where. Anytime we sit down with anyone, just talk about where you're at. If you don't know what you're trying to sell, if you don't know what they're trying to sell you, if you're not really in the mood, you don't know what to talk about, just start with, hey, where are you at? How are you today? Pink sweater. Where are you at today? What's on your mind? I don't mean where you're at. I mean where you're at. What's on your mind today?
I'm looking forward to networking and getting to know a lot of folks.
Cool. So after I hear that, I would know we're going to focus on the social. If we're talking, we're going to talk about the people, we're going to see what's going on with the people, right? You didn't say, I can't wait to learn the tools. You're going, I can't wait to meet the people. Totally great. So, where we're at. And I like to share where I'm at too, because then we have a bit of a map for where we're going. I know what's on your mind today. You know what's on my mind. We don't have to fill up the time with a bunch of stuff that neither one of us cares about. Lots of people say, leave your baggage at the door, come to work totally clear, free of everything else. I don't believe that. I believe you take what's on your mind, whether it's your baggage, whatever it is, you don't check it at the door, you don't check your feelings at the door, you bring it in and you allow it to give life to the conversation you're having. Otherwise, if it's rote, people are gonna pass out. And you're not gonna, the goal will not be met, whatever the goal is. And if it's someone new, you can take the opportunity to go over, little things. You can start with weather, traffic, or if you're my family, health. Everyone loves to complain about their health. Jews, it's what we do. But you can also do like a pop culture moment. What are you watching? Everyone's watching something right now. We might not have all gone to the movies. I mean, I haven't gone to a movie, since the 90s. Does anyone go into a movie anymore? It all comes to us. So I watch a lot of television. So that is a great point of connection. Side note, my dad and I don't have a ton in common, but we both loved Sons of Anarchy. And right? The best. And after that series, now we have a language, a common language. We talk about TV. I don't find that any less valuable than anything else we could be discussing. People like to look down their nose at pop culture, but I think if it gives us a common language, we're in. And then if it's somebody you know well, let's say an associate you've met before, long-lost relative, then you can take that opportunity when you start the conversation to reconnect, rekindle, find out about each other's families, talk about what's happened in the business since you saw each other last, etc. So the first thing, obviously, when you meet someone is just where you're at. And I think once you have that down, the map then starts to be very clear to get you to your destination. So the first step, read the room, start your map, and go from there. Sometimes when we're meeting with somebody, or when I'm meeting with someone, I can tell we are from different planets, right? We've just done the check-in, where you're from, what do you do, the whole thing. It's never really gonna happen for us. So we've gotta look for the common thing between us. Yeah, we're all human, got that. Breathe air, got that. We probably want the same stuff, right? We want to be happy. We want to have our families happy. We want to be healthy. We want to look good. Actually, that probably goes up top, let's be honest. Everyone likes to look good. So whether or not you think you have nothing in common, truth is, you can find something that brings you together. Again, TV, music, dogs. Everyone likes dogs, universal. So I've probably interviewed 5,000 people over the years. I haven't met anyone who's like, not that into dogs. That's like saying, babies, not that into it. Nobody is not into dogs. Nobody can't smile at a baby. So moments like that, the things that you know that are universal, keep them in your pocket if things aren't really going your way, conversation-wise. And then, if it is somebody that you know well, you can laugh together, you can joke together. What if your commonality is that you love to fight each other? I have a friend, Torre, who we don't agree on anything, not one thing. But I love meeting with him because our commonality is we share ideas. There's so much preaching to the choir that goes on in our world that I feel like when I have a friend or a relative that I can really spar with and learn from, that is my very favorite type of commonality. So, we got that. So we have where you're at, what do we share in common, and then the final leg of the journey is what can we do for each other? Because unless it's just an occasional convo or occasional meeting, there is a goal, right? We need something from the person we're talking to. So when I try to think about entering conversation with what we can do for each other, I start with, hey, what can I do for you? Way better than, so I was thinking about what you could do for me. So obviously nobody goes into a conversation that way. But it's pretty awesome to see someone's face change when once you figured out what their goal is in their life, in their relationships, in their job, to say, I think I can help you out there. It may have nothing to do with what you're supposed to be getting to, but it's so valuable and people appreciate it so much. I'm finding the tiniest kindnesses recently are getting a huge response from people, and I think that speaks to the sort of the climate of the world. Who knows? What can I do for you? Then you bring it around to, now what can you do for me? So everybody wins. Where, what, and how. Okay, so now the wow. My secret on Talk Stew. When I say secret, I mean between us. Raise your right hand, promise me you're not gonna tell anyone. Good? I never research my guests. I don't research them, not a thing about them. I'm clueless, so I don't know a lot about pop culture. It's when publicists say, oh, don't ask them about their divorce. I never would. Well, A, because how rude, hey, how are you? How's your divorce going? But B, I really don't know that they're married and getting divorced. I love not knowing about people because then my questions are genuine. And a lot of people, you can tell, have been in these sales meetings or on a press tour, whatever it is, again and again. Nobody wants to have the same boring conversation or be asked the same question. But one thing I do stress, get the person's name. I cannot tell you how often I forget to find out somebody's name. And that can really get you in some hot water, right? Like, if they say Jesse James is coming on my stoop, I just have to look up the very basics. Is it Jesse James, the American Outlaw, or the adult film star? Outlaw film star, which one? Or on that theme, there was that 80s band, Lord Tracy. Is it Lord Tracy or the other 80s icon, Tracy Lords? Sometimes you can really trip yourself up. So even if you have to write it on your hand, which is what I do, yes, went to college and everything, it's very helpful. So first step, get the name right. And actually, nobody can tell this story better than the OG talk show host, one of my favorites, Dick Cavett. So roll the tape. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, there are cameras here. We better shape up.
We should do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do that?
Yeah, we can do that. You know what else we can do?
Oh, that's too much this
Too
time
much?
of day. Yeah, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, oh, that leg goes too.
Okay. Sorry.
It's funny how we banter with each other, isn't it?
It is. I quite
yeah.
enjoy it. I do so enjoy your company, Dick Cavett.
That's good. And you got the name right and everything. That's a sign of a very, very good host. Listen, have you ever done this to a guest or a host? I'll act now. Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that. Cat, is it?
Yeah. Not only have I done that, how about this one? Oh, I'm so pleased you're here, Jay. Dick.
Yeah.
Has anyone else done that, or is it just me? All right, listen, it happens. So if you learn nothing else than the person's name you're trying to talk to, that goes a long way too. But it can also work against you. You know how like when you're in the airport and they've canceled your flight and then you hear someone ahead of you going, yes, Margot, I understand there are snowstorms, but I have to get home. Like when people use their names as if it had too much management training, no good. And you can always tell. So it's a fine line. Getting someone's name should be easy, but often getting to where we're going, because of things like planes, trains, and automobiles generally running late, sometimes getting to where we're going can be impossible. My favorite Talk Stoop moment of somebody who did not care, did not let the snow get in her way, didn't let the paparazzi, the traffic get in her way, Kim Kardashian. Now, everybody they're a polarizing family. You either love them or you hate them. I don't care. I just know that those women are intrepid. One of them came over while she was still breastfeeding. She threw some milk in it was the craziest, in a bag, but she was there doing the interview. And Kimmy K, the first time she came over in below 0 temperatures and less than 0 skirt action. It shows. Let's see. People always talk about your beautiful face, your figure, your derriere. How does it feel to be known for your body parts?
It's kind of flattering, you know? It could be worse, right? It could be known for awful body parts.
We have a tradition here on the stoop where we like to hear a secret. Sorry, I probably didn't prep you on that, but
It's okay.
we would like to know something nobody else knows.
A secret. I have a really weird ear itching problem, and I'm addicted to Q-tips. And I have to use Q-tips like 6 times a day.
Well, you heard it here first. So that was a little conversation kung fu. You know how in kung fu you're supposed to work with the energy of your opponent, not against it. So I wasn't getting a lot from her, go figure. And so I threw this in. Oh, we've had this long-standing tradition where I have to find out something crazy, go. And she said it, and true, we're the only ones that had it. So I felt like queen of the prom, and it always reminds me to try to give people something not conspiratorial. I haven't told this to anyone, because chances are you start with that, you have told a lot of people. But I do find people like to walk away being the only one. So that was a good lesson from her. Also, never wear 5-inch heels in the snow and ice, because she actually took a tumble, but we didn't catch it on camera. So another thing I've learned after talking to all these celebrities and just people, you know, we try to stay away from politics, religion, things that could start a fight. And if you have a short window for conversation, you don't want to be brawling about politics. And of course, these days there's a lot of brawling. Well, anyway, every day, I'm sure. So while you want to stay away from hot button issues, you're still human. We're all still human, right? So I think our big challenge is, how do you bring your humanness and your feelings into a conversation you're having, a presentation you're giving, any exchange, without alienating people and without watering down who you are? Be authentic. It sounds so easy. It's not always easy. And I was glad to be reminded of that by one of the other titans of the industry, Mr. Dan Rather.
Direct from our newsroom in Washington.
Nobody replaces a Walter Cronkite, but to succeed a Walter Cronkite, while it was heaven of a sort, it was also hell of a sort, because I didn't want to let the organization down.
Throughout your career, you had been accused from time to time as having a liberal bias as a news person. And I always think that's so funny, because half of news person is person. So is it truly possible to separate out the person from the newsman and not have any biases at all?
No, that's impossible. We're humans.
We're humans. So again, back to don't leave your feelings at the door. Bring them in, express your humanity. It's so much more interesting than talking to people who are trying to be wiped clean of thinking or feeling. So it's sort of a golden rule, right? Be human, listen. And another golden rule came to me very early on in the show. Brooke Shields was an early adopter of TalkStoop. And let me tell you, that meant something at the time, because for celebrities to cross the East River into Brooklyn, like they needed passports and shots and nobody, and then imagine they come into my house and it's like, they're like, is this public access? There were babies and dogs and it was a Megillah. I don't know how this thing ever took off. But Brooke came on early and stayed, and she's been on several times, but very early on, she taught me a lesson that has guided me in my life. Go where the water's warm. Whenever I try to do something that's not working, the doors aren't opening, let me shift a little bit. Go where the water's warm. And the same can be used in conversation, but let's hear Brooke say it first. From model to actress to TV actress
I'm going to start leaving the office early to have dinner with the kids.
to star of the stage, you've really covered all the points.
I always think go where the water's warm. Go where they want you. And in this business, there are times when it's just chilly in one area, and so you think, you know what, that's not going to stop me. So you don't want me in this thing right now, or you say I can't do it? Okay, fine. I'm going to take that time and I'm going to put all my energy into theater or writing a book, or it's just that I don't like to be told I'm not allowed to do something, or that the door's closed or I'm not invited to the party.
No, I know.
So I go to
me
another party and
neither.
that invites me, and I go have a lot of fun in that party, and I'll come back around, and sooner or later the invite will come.
Right. Go where the water's warm. It has saved me so much browbeating, ambitions that were never going to get accomplished, right? I've sat across the table from people. I wanted to get to some place. They wanted to get somewhere else. Never the twain were going to meet. So I go to where they want to go, knowing that sooner or later the conversation will turn back in my favor. Even if it's not this conversation, but maybe it's 2 down the road. No point in trying to swim in chilly, Arctic, unnavigatable waters. So I appreciate Brooke for that. You'll know if the water is cold how? Face, body language, or really awkward long pauses like this one. You know what I mean? Awkward, right? If it gets like that, move on, change course. However, there are sometimes uncomfortable things we have to cover, whether or not you want to. This could be our only shot to be sitting and talking to someone. So how do you handle that? I tried a lot of unsuccessful methods, but Eva Longoria taught me the name of the game. Maybe you can help me with something. Because we are a show that has celebrities, a lot of people do have breakups or tabloid stuff. You know, unless somebody's done something that's egregious or I think requires conversation, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
But I want to do my job as a journalist, and I don't want to seem like I'm out of it. How do I navigate that line?
I don't know. As a journalist, I think you do have a responsibility. I always tell people, ask me anything you want. It doesn't mean I'll answer it, but at least you did your job, and I can dance around the answer.
Thanks, Eva. So basically, you can keep asking me, and I'm not going to tell you, but I'll have done my job. When I have to go back to my boss and say, I tried to make the sale, or the thing did happen, and I tried, but she just wasn't giving it. But you tried. And that's what's really important. You know, she taught me a lot that day. Not used to be, still is. I will run up in between guests at Talk Stoop. It's very glamorous. Change my outfit like a maniac and then come back down. Often it gets stuck. It's not always the easiest getting changed. So when Eva came over that day, I was like 10 minutes before I came down. So by the time I walked down the stairs, that woman welcomed me into my own home. Hello, welcome, she said. And it was like, no, okay. But it was amazing because she had owned the space for 10 or 15 minutes before I got down. She was way comfortable. So I'm not advocating being late, but I am a little bit. It's really nice if somebody feels like they own the space. And I have since decorated all the places that I live very neutrally so that anybody can impose themselves on the scene. I learned it from hotels also. Why do people like hotels so much? Because you're not looking around at all your crap. You're not looking around the bills you have to pay. You're not looking around at the laundry. You're not looking at what needs to be fixed. It's just clean, and you can project this, whatever image you want of yourself on it. So I have taken that into my decorating, and I always am late. That's how I justify being late. No, but I love to let people feel the space. Because when they do, the outcome is always better. And in fact, Eva was a very big teacher that day. Sort of appropriate for this time of year. I'm going to let her tell the tale.
There is a demonstration. Oh, it's Easter.
Oh my God, it's Easter. Oh my God, we should join the parade.
Holy cow.
It's Good Friday.
It's Good Friday. You're good.
I am Catholic.
Wow.
Oh my God, it's Jesus. It's Jesus.
Jesus, he is coming back.
Jesus is here.
Where are they stopping?
Yeah, they're stopping here. Maybe we should shouldn't get up. Seriously, do something. Oh. Are you Catholic?
No, I'm Jewish.
It's a lot of kneeling. Gracie.
So that's the ultimate example of going with the flow. I mean, Jesus walked by, so what do? You get involved, right? When Jesus shows up, you get involved. And I wouldn't have known what to do, but you should have heard as soon as that procession walked by, like, ay Dios mío, Eva Longoria. It was like everyone got crazy. It's like she was Jesus. And it was a great afternoon. I learned how to do the thing, which I didn't know how to do, being Jewish. But she also looped in Gracie. She included the dog. Very important. Again, it was a fluke. I didn't mean for the dog to be the star of the show, but I had a dog, and she wouldn't let me outside without her. So Gracie became a huge star. May she rest in peace. But I admired that people tried to include her instead of being like, well, you shut this snuffling dog up. They would have been right to do that. She was loud, it was a mess. But Eva really brought her in, which brings me to my next clip. It was a moment, I don't even know why I'm sharing this with you, except it was so weird, and it's the one that everybody always asks me about. And every time I see it, I'm a combination of grossed out and super thrilled because I feel like I'm witnessing a pro in action. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Biggs.
Would you shut Gracie?
Gracie wants to make out with you now.
I'd make out with that.
All right, let's do it. Soften the focus, everybody. Yeah.
Yes, baby. What we had,
Over.
what we shared.
All right, we've done it. You want some Listerine?
We were just meant to be here.
I do believe people end up becoming their names. So with Jason Biggs, go big or go home. He embodied that, and I just loved it. You know, it makes me feel like I should do a whole other talk about the mishaps. We almost killed the Roots, the band The Roots. A windstorm came, and that screen and cameras went flying into them, and it was like this incredible moment of everybody pitching in and saving the Roots. Or the time I accidentally punched Nicole Richie in the face. It was an accident, I swear, but I learned a lot about Grace and handling things well, because she was wonderful. So maybe I'll put together a little, like a bloopers talk, you know, what we can learn from life's little moments. Anyway, now that we've discussed Easter, I feel like we should give a nod to Passover. One of the big things that goes down in Passover is you're reclined, and then we make a huge deal. Tonight is like no other night because you're reclined. Well, again, like the changing upstairs, people being reclined on Talk Stoop was just a happy accident. You can't sit up straight, you sort of have to kind of lean in, and the steps are very narrow, so I didn't plan that. But as it turns out, I started to notice we were getting things out of people other shows weren't getting. And I really believe it's because the dog was around, and because people were laid back, lean back. So I wanted to demonstrate that to you in A Tale of Two Tonys. Watch how Tony Robinson handled a little bit of friction the first time on the stoop and the second time inside. We begin at the stoop in Brooklyn.
Well, what'd you think of the film?
Here's what I think of the film. It's amazing for people who cannot get to see you in person.
Yes.
It gives an accurate picture. Now, I know from working in TV that I can edit.
Yes.
So I've become very cynical about what I'm watching. What did you leave out? You know, we have the person who you saved from the brink of suicide at 26 years old. But what about the person that we didn't edit in?
Yeah, well, I appreciate your skepticism, but if you want to do your homework on it, you can find out that nobody was edited in any way, shape, or form. Those are 2-hour interventions that they made into 7 minutes so that someone could experience it in 190 countries. But we didn't like cherry pick. I didn't have that process.
Bam, Cat Greenleaf, you are wrong, he said. Basically, you're wrong, but I'm gonna do it with a smile on my face, and it's nice, and we all left that conversation feeling wonderful. Then the show started getting bigger, and we moved into 30 Rock. So gone was the daily UPS man who became a fixture on the show. Gone was the grit of the Brooklyn streets. It's lights, it's sterile. It was a different kind of conversation. So Tony's one of the people that I like to argue with because he's just so damn sure of himself. It's so much fun to try to poke a hole. So this is Inside with Tony.
You're absolutely wrong. The majority don't.
Sorry.
You're absolutely wrong. You can invest anywhere in the world.
No, I'm
from
saying
any
if you were a
country.
Cuban person, you cannot.
No, you
So I'm
can
saying it's a
invest.
niche book for Americans.
No, honey, this is all over the world.
Honey?
This is the number one post. Yes,
No,
it's all
doesn't
over the
fight me.
world. Good, give it to me.
Honey makes me, it subjugates me, honey.
Oh, is that what you look at?
What, is that what you call Warren Buffett,
No,
honey, in the middle of a meeting?
Yeah, well, he wasn't telling me that it wasn't working over the world either.
No, God forbid somebody should tell you
He's
it's
almost
not
smarter
working,
than that.
Tony. He called me honey. Can you imagine sitting with your boss and going, anyway, honey, I gotta tell you, I think what you did on those spreadsheets was wrong. Never, it would never happen. On the stoop, he was kinder, it was easier, but with the lights and so it taught me about seating and setting. Anytime you can have a conversation with somebody in a place that's not threatening, it's always gonna work out better. Never call someone honey. I mean, that is just, that's never happened to me before, but I hated it. Even if he thought he was being sweet, which he was not. So setting and seating, always good to keep in mind. We've talked about a lot of things here today. I'm gonna leave it with Tony and let him give the final word because he loves that. And it's about bad language. Almost impossible for me to get through an entire conversation without some really nasty words. I'm trying to reel it in. I know it's the more professional thing to do. But I have always believed that when used strategically, a good old F-bomb can really make the point. Again, strategically. For me, it can be a litany, and that's no good. But Tony set me straight on this one, and I hope it's a big moment of learning for all of us. Tony Robbins. Something else we have in common, we both have really dirty mouths. I was doing some research and I was watching your film, like, this guy is worse than I am. Who knew that even existed? Excuse me.
I read a book at 22 years old called Taboo Language, which changed my life. It was written by a brilliant psychiatrist who had studied Freud, and he said, Freud was a genius and he was messed up. He was addicted to cocaine, he thought everybody wanted their mother, but his genius was that if you try to make a change and you don't succeed, it's because consciously you say you want one thing and unconsciously another. And so he would use provocative language to disturb or jolt the person out of the surface bull to something deeper that was real.
To your point earlier about people who don't try stuff because they're just cynical, I came up with a slogan this weekend, just popped in my head, you can have it.
Okay, hit me with it.
Perfection is for
Boom!
The end.
I will use it.
Perfection is for, I'm not gonna say it out loud because I've learned, but it's true. You end a conversation on one dirty or really funny high note and leave them laughing, and that has been my method throughout. Even if you don't even know what happened in the conversation, if you leave them laughing, they always do come back. So thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for your laughter. It helped me out a lot this first thing on a Monday morning, and I will be back with another very tall, accomplished man, Rolf Brunischka, around 11:30. I will see you then. Thank you.